Junwoo finished a cup of hot water and slowly stood up. We have said everything we need to say, so we will not bother you anymore. I will contact you if I need anything. After saying that, he turned and walked out of the house. Zhang Yi stood up and followed him. Why don't we have a meal together since we are here now? He was a little worried that these people would ask to stay. But judging from their attitude, it can be seen that although they envy Zhang Yi's shelter, they are not overly covetous. Obviously, their living environment in Blizzard City is also very good. After all, they are all high-level ability users. No need to eat. We brought our own military rations, and we have things to do next. Junwoo rejected Zhang Yi's kindness. The two came to the living room, which was very quiet. The people in the investigation team did not communicate much with the natives of the shelter, and the atmosphere was even a little stiff. Seeing the two people coming out of the hut, both groups seemed to be relieved. Junwoo said to his team members, "It's enough to rest. We should set off." Several team members put down their glass of water and stood up without hesitation. "Thank you for the hospitality." Several people thanked Zhang Yi and Zhou Ke'er. When Wu Di walked to Zhang Yi, his eyes showed obvious fighting spirit. "Zhang Yi, how about we have a sparring match next time if we have a chance?" Junwoo's emphasis on Zhang Yi attracted Wu Di's attention. And according to what Junwoo said, Zhang Yi is likely to become a member of their team in the future. Wu Di naturally wanted to test Zhang Yi's strength. Zhang Yi smiled faintly and did not answer. Junwoo shouted at him, "What time is it now? Don't mess around!" Wu Di scratched his head with a smile and then walked out. Zhang Yi and others watched them leave. Junwoo and others got on the car, and when the car left the shelter, the people in the shelter started to talk about it. "These people have a strong, murderous aura. Yes, I can feel it from a distance. It's completely different from the people I met before." Zhang Yi took a deep breath and muttered to himself, "Fortunately, they are not enemies. Otherwise, we would be in big trouble." Among these 7 people, Junwoo's strength is needless to say. That kind of terrifying supernatural power is unmatched in the entire Tianhai city. Even Zhang Yi would be killed instantly if he encountered it without any preparation. However, if he was prepared, the current defense of the Dimension Gate would definitely be able to block Junwoo's attack based on the power of his attack today. Everyone has seen the strength of the others. Kong Sheng, who does not have a high status in the team, easily killed Chun Jingguan, the second in command of the Chao Yu base. No one can imagine how terrifying the strength of such a team is. However, Zhang Yi believes that it will not be difficult for the 7 of them to destroy a base, because there is a behemoth behind them, the Jiangnan district. At this time, Yang Xinxin's cold voice came into Zhang Yi's ears. But with only 7 people coming, it may not be so easy to solve the problem of the zombie tide. This is not good news. When everyone heard Yang Xinxin's words, they couldn't help but look at this genius girl with a superior IQ. Zhang Yi looked down at her and asked seriously, "Xinxin, what do you think?" Yang Xinxin controlled the wheelchair and came to the front of everyone. Her cold eyes were full of wisdom. Jiangnan district sent them here, not necessarily expecting them to solve the huge zombie tide at once. Maybe they are just the vanguard. Once the source of the zombie tide is found, there may be a large-scale army stationed in Tianhai City. At that time, the entire pattern of Tianhai City will be rewritten. We will inevitably be affected. Zhang Yi nodded. "That is indeed very likely," Fatty Shu said worriedly. "By then, we will not be driven out of the shelter, right? Zhang Yi's team can dominate Tianhai City and occupy the 2 territories of Xishan District and Lujiang District." Zhang Yi frowned. "It shouldn't be." His tone was a little uncertain. However, with the strength of their team, even if Jiangnan District sent people to Tianhai City, they should be more polite to them. Not all the apocalypse is about fighting and killing. Sometimes you have to pay attention to human relationships. Yang Xinxin said, "If that's the case, it's not the worst outcome. The worst thing is that the investigation team finds that the scale of the zombie tide is too large, and they need to pay too much price to completely clean up the problem of the zombie tide. When that time comes, the problem will be troublesome." Everyone couldn't help but click in their hearts. No one knows how many zombies there are underground in Tianhai City. However, he suddenly thought of something in his mind. That is, before Bian Junwu left, he invited him to the Jiangnan district. Zhang Yi suddenly woke up at this time and realized what Bian Junwu had not finished saying. This is a way out for him. If the zombie tide in Tianhai City is finally proved to be unable to be properly handled, then the final means should be to completely wipe out the entire city. I am afraid that at that time, Zhang Yi will have no choice but to leave here. He couldn't help thinking, although the shelter was originally said to be able to defend against attacks if the goal of the Jiangnan district is to wipe out the entire Tianhai City, the level used is completely different. I can't take such a risk. It would be best to deal with the zombie problem at the moment. The reason is easy to say, but how to deal with it? Zhang Yi had no idea in his heart. Everyone's face was written with nervous expressions, fearing that the thing they least wanted to happen would come. Everyone sat on the sofa in the living room, and Zhang Yi hugged his arms and thought hard about where he should break the deadlock. Everyone also brainstormed and spoke freely. Zhou Care frowned slightly and said worriedly, "Now we all know that the zombies and rats are concentrated underground. Their number is very alarming, and it is very likely that they have occupied the entire subway system of Tianhai City. With our current manpower, it is not realistic to face the zombies and rats like a tide, unless we find the zombie king and carry out a decapitation operation," Zhou Care said, while gently putting her hand on Zhang Yi's shoulder and leaning on him. When she was nervous, she liked to get a little comfort from Zhang Yi. "We can't do anything about these things. We can only hope that the Jiangnan district will provide help. So, Zhang Yi, you don't have to worry too much. After all, our ability is limited." Zhou Care's words were right. The 5 major forces could not go out on a large scale in the extremely cold environment to investigate the outside world. Zhang Yi and the other few families were just temporary teams built in the end of the world. No one had experience in dealing with such a bad situation. Zhang Yi raised his head and said leisurely, "All fear comes from the unknown. Our biggest trouble is that we know too little about the zombies. What exactly is the zombie king? Is it a zombie that has mutated and gained intelligence? Or is it some mutant? They don't even know what the zombie king is, let alone the decapitation operation." Fatty Shu interrupted at this time. "We can only judge now that the outbreak of the zombie crisis has nothing to do with the other 4 forces. After all, the losses they have suffered are quite tragic." Yang Xin immediately retorted, "You can't say it so absolutely. Even if they have all suffered great losses, you can't conclude that this matter has nothing to do with them. For example, at Xishan Base, they conducted a large number of human experiments at the beginning. It is possible that other families have similar behaviors, which led to the appearance of the zombie tide. After the end of the world, several major forces in Tianhai City were frantically improving their armed forces, and almost all the methods they could use were used. The artificial human plan of Xishan Base and the military stimulants of Yangsheng Base are vivid examples. Everyone expressed their opinions one after another, but they were basically speculations without any evidence. They had too little information. The sudden appearance of the corpse tide was like a brand new force, catching them off guard. Zhang Yi propped up his chin with both hands, and he himself was puzzled by the sudden corpse tide. What exactly is the corpse king who controls everything behind the scenes? If it is a mutant who wants to control the corpse tide to eliminate the other major forces in Tianhai City, become the king of Tianhai City, and even expand to the surrounding areas, then with human intelligence, it should have broken through the defenses of the major forces long ago. But the zombies encountered by Zhang Yi and others did not show a high IQ, probably like a 4- or 5-year-old child who is constantly learning. But if the corpse king is a corpse that has mutated and given birth to wisdom, why did it launch a continuous attack on the 5 major forces? It was as if it had long known that there were 5 powerful human organizations in 5 distant corners of Tianhai City. This contradictory logic portrayed a special thing in Zhang Yi's mind. It was like something that was controlled by humans, but it didn't seem like something that humans with normal IQ would do. Huh? Could it be a mentally retarded mutant? Zhang Yi himself was amused by his own thoughts. Let's wait and see. At least we have to see how good the people sent by Jiangnan district are. They have more experience in team combat. The strength of the mutants is strong, and there is advanced technology from Jiangnan district. We should be able to achieve some results. If they can't solve the problem by then, we will take action. Zhang Yi made a temporary plan. With his double-door ability, if he goes underground to fight, at least he can guarantee a worry-free escape. However, Bian Junwu didn't invite him to join, and he was happy not to ask. On the other side, at Snow Worship Headquarters, Zhang Yixian returned. He pushed the door. After walking in, Yuan Kongye stood in front of the crucifix and prayed devoutly as usual. Yuan Kongye stood 3 meters behind her. Yuan Kongye slowly opened her tightly closed eyes, then turned around to face Zhang Yixian. Her white and slender hands were folded in front of her. There was a rare softness in her eyes as she looked at Zhang Yixian. "What did you see this time?" Zhang Yixian's expression was very serious. "The Jiangnan district sent a group of very scary people." He told Yuan Kongye what he saw and heard today. After hearing about the strength of the investigation team, especially the border military force that could kill thousands of zombies in one blow, Yuan Kongye's frosty face that had not melted for thousands of years also showed a touch of emotion. "Jiangnan district?" she murmured. "Will they affect us?" Yuan Kongye asked. Zhang Yixian was not sure either. He said, "The current situation in Tianhai City has a huge impact on the surrounding areas. If the Jiangnan district sends troops to intervene, I'm afraid our snow worship cult will not be able to develop in the future. Moreover, Bian Junwu gave us a warning. That is, if the zombie tide problem cannot be solved, the Jiangnan district may use the final means." Yuan Kongye's eyes shook. "The final means!" Zhang Yixian said firmly, "We can't sit back and watch this happen." Yuan Kongye nodded. "I'm afraid that this problem is not only ours. Zhang Yi, Xiao Honglian, Wei Dinghai, and Xing Tian don't want to see that kind of result." Just as Yuan Kongye said, after Bian Junwu warned them, everyone was very worried. Because of this, they will choose to do their best to help Bian Junwu to solve the current zombie problem, because fully assisting Bian Junwu and others is actually helping themselves. The investigation team left Zhang Yi's house and rushed to investigate the intelligence of the zombie group. They drove a black RV with a huge space inside. 7 people lived in it, and all the problems of eating, drinking, defecating, and urinating could be solved. This car was specially built for them by engineers from the Jiangnan district, just to facilitate their long-term missions. In addition to the huge space, its sturdiness is comparable to that of a war vehicle, and it uses aviation materials. Before coming, they had mastered a lot of information about Tianhai City. The intelligence network of the Jiangnan district is not what Zhang Yi and his team can imagine. To give the simplest example, the satellite navigation system. Zhang Yi and his team basically lost this function, but the Jiangnan district has military satellites that can grasp everything that happens on land from the distant space. In other words, everything Zhang Yi and his team did was seen clearly by the nebula system. Bian Junwu and his team have a lot of intelligence, and now they also need to go to various regions for field investigation. The first stop is the Sikh subway line that was frozen by Zhang Yi. When everyone arrived at the entrance of the subway line, they could see from a distance that a long hillock was bulging on the ground, going straight all the way, like a long snake. Meng Siyu said, "It seems that a large amount of seawater was irrigated and then froze and expanded so the ground was cracked." Bian Junwu walked to the front of the subway line and saw the solid ice below through the cracks. He couldn't help but squat down and put his right hand above the ice, as if he wanted to feel the giant dragon that froze the entire subway line. Bian Junwu closed his eyes and imagined the scene of Zhang Yi pouring a large amount of seawater from another space. Thinking of this, he couldn't help but take a deep breath. "It's amazing. This guy is a genius." Udi, who was standing by, crossed his arms and said disapprovingly after hearing Bian Junwu's praise, "Boss, is it necessary to praise him? In my opinion, this is just a very common method."